I just wonder, is Kyler Murray that guy? Can Kyler Murray get back to his sophomore season, get back to that first year? I think it was that first year where he was looking like he was Cliff Kingsbury, where he was looking like he was about to ascend to possibly a top 7 quarterback. Can he get back to that version of Kyler Murray, or is he just a mediocre quarterback? Is he just like around that Tua Brock Purdy range? I actually watched a couple of videos. I did a little bit of research on the Arizona Cardinals, specifically their offense, because last year it was surprising to me just some of the offensive decisions, some of the scheming that they did for the offense. I was a bit perplexed. Anywho, what is your thoughts on the Arizona Cardinals this season? Do you think the Arizona Cardinals will make a leap this year, or are they just going to remain the same team?
See, the funny thing with the Cardinals is I don't hate the roster. I feel like they got dudes at positions where you can make some shake. Like they got Trey McBride, who's one of the top tight ends in the NFL. You got Marvin Harrison Jr., who I know he had probably a disappointing rookie season for most people's standards compared to like a Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. But I feel like he can still, player development. He can still develop into something. Maybe they'll give him more looks. They did get a new. Oh no, they still got Drew Petzing. See that's gonna be the downfall right there. If Drew Petzing is still on that nonsense that he was on last year, this offense is not going to reach the level and potential that I think they should. And it's very unfortunate because the roster isn't bad. It's not terrible. There's definitely worse rosters in the league. And it's a shame that they just can't make it work. I don't think Jonathan Gannon is a bad coach. He's just what he's had to work with. He had to do what he had to do. But they did get some good acquisitions in free agency. They got Josh Sweat from the Eagles. He's a good, solid rotational pass rusher. I think he was their number. I think he was starting for the Eagles actually. So they got Dalvin Tomlinson from Cleveland. Not bad as a tackle. They got Calais Campbell. Yeah, he's up there in age, but he's still a solid guy to have on your defensive line. And I
Mm-hmm.
even like their draft pick, Walter Nolan.
Yeah,
He
Walter
was
Nolan. Yeah.
top 2 D tackle in the draft in my eyes. So I like what they did in the offseason. And they also drafted Will Johnson as well, which
Mm-hmm.
he has injury concerns, but if he can get back to that level he was in like 2023 Michigan, that'll be a steal for where they got him at. So I
Yeah.
like it. They also, I don't know who the offense. They ain't really spend. They only had 1 draft pick on offense, which is funny. But I like the team. I like the team. I don't know. I think they could really. I honestly got them ranked higher than I would the 49ers.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, I just feel like it's just Drew Petzing, man. I can't trust him. Like he needs to stop using Marvin Harrison like he's a decoy and start making him the focal point of the offense. The run game will still be good. You still got James Conner. Clay Adams did leave to my team, of course, which he was like the O-line guru for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that foundation is laid. It's the same unit, so they should have that continuity and that. Man, I could definitely see this team like sneaking in the playoffs.
My problem here's my thing, because Kyler Murray, that's another thing you didn't
That
mention.
yeah,
Kyler
Kyler Murray,
Murray.
yeah,
Because Kyler
he can
Murray,
be up and down. Yeah.
I was going through different articles. I went on Reddit as well. Went on Reddit. They had a whole thing. And it's about the offense in general and what they prioritize. They prioritize number one, the running game. Number two is going to be the tight ends. And then number three is going to be the wide receivers, which to just some of the things I've heard, the offense isn't as bad as what people want to claim it to be. And it's because of, fantasy football. In fantasy football, you want the wide receivers to eat and all this stuff. The way how they have Kyler Murray functioning in this offense is that they're not going to have him throwing the ball a whole lot. He's going to throw the ball maybe 20, 25 times. They're going to try to utilize his legs. They want to establish the run with James Conner. My whole point is, why would you draft Marvin Harrison Jr. if that's going to be your offense? If you want to establish the run early, if you're going to rely heavily on the tight ends and you're only going to require Kyler Murray to throw the ball 20, 25 times. What's the point of having Marvin Harrison Jr.? Is it just because you wanted him to be because he's tall and he could be a good blocker for you? I wouldn't have drafted a wide receiver top 4 if his biggest value is going to be his blocking. You could just draft somebody in the later rounds for that.
You could draft a tight end and get him to block.
That's my whole gripe with this team is if you're going to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. top 4, why the hell wouldn't you want to use him to the best of his ability? I also heard, yeah.
I'm just saying they just gotta, like, to me, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of those players you got to get him going early, or he'll just not do much for the rest of the game. So the fact that they want to run the ball, then go through tight ends, play through Trey McBride, then your wide receiver is the third option. It's kind of like, that like I said, that defeats the purpose of drafting Marvin Harrison Jr.
And then Greg Dortch, you have to worry about Dortch as well because he's also getting touches, and Wilson.
Yeah, Greg Dortch was vulturing. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, why is he getting so many looks?
So you have to worry about that as well. I just think with Marvin Harrison Jr., this is just not the right offense for him, for his capability. It reminds me a little bit of AJ Brown when he was on the Tennessee Titans and how the Tennessee Titans were utilizing him. He was still an amazing player, but he couldn't reach his potential in that offense because they relied so heavily on Derrick Henry. And this feels like the same situation where you're looking at an offense that's not predicated on the passing game and it's more reliant on the running game. Kyler Murray's running ability and James Conner's running ability. And it's not like James Conner is Saquon Barkley or anything like that. James Conner is a good back, but I wouldn't run my offense significantly through James Conner. Like James Conner, I'm just not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it at all.
How do you feel about the defense?
The defense, again, I like Walter Nolan a lot. I like Josh Sweat. I like that they brought in Josh Sweat. Buda Baker is still a pretty good safety at this stage of his career.
Williams is solid.
Jalen Thompson is okay. He's okay. And then you have Will Johnson. If he can remain healthy and he can continue to develop, that would be a steal of the draft. Zayvon Collins is also another guy off the edge that's really good for them as well. It's not a bad defense. I feel like Jonathan Gannon, he can do some things with this defense. Depth-wise, I don't know if they have enough depth, but just looking at the starting lineup for them, their base defense, it's not too shabby. They can do some things for that one. And they also drafted some people in the draft. They went heavy defense in the draft. They drafted, obviously, Walter Nolan, Will Johnson. Round 3, they drafted another Oregon guy, a defensive tackle, Jordan Birch. They went almost defense in the draft. Besides a guard,
the defense was terrible last year. So
So they put a lot of draft capital on that defense. So I expect the defense to be a lot better this year. They're going to add a lot of depth. I just wonder, is Kyler Murray that guy? Can Kyler Murray get back to his sophomore season, get back to that first year? I think it was that first year with, what's his name from the Commanders? I forgot his name. But yeah, get back to his sophomore year. Can he get back to that version of Kyler Murray where he was looking like he was Cliff Kingsbury, where he was looking like he was about to ascend to possibly a top 7 quarterback? Can he get back to that version of Kyler Murray, or is he just a mediocre quarterback? Is he just like around that Tua Brock Purdy range? Who knows? But I don't know if they can make the playoffs. With Kyler Murray, I don't know if they can make the playoffs, man. I gotta see it.
I think the offensive philosophy has to change.
I gotta see it. I just gotta see it. For me, they have the talent, but I have to see it. I don't know if the coaching wise, I don't know if the coaching is going to be good enough to where they can get these guys. They can get a scheme that will help them win enough games to push them to the playoffs. I gotta see it. I gotta see if Kyler Murray is able to improve and become a top 10 caliber quarterback. I have to see it, because if he can't, then I don't see this team making it to the playoffs. He has to have a good year. He can't just be mediocre. What I've heard from Trey McBride, I think there was a video that I saw. I think it was Trey McBride, and he was talking about the playbook from year one to year two and how they're adding more stuff like motion in some of the plays. They're it's not as simple as it was last year. Like they're actually it's actually more detailed than it was last year. So that's good, but I just don't know if they're going to prioritize Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know. That's the biggest question of it all. All right.